It's hard to decide whether the Konga Comics, published by Charlton Comics Group, are any good because the quality of the scans, I read the digital version, are not that good. Hi, I'm Annie and it is Thursday, so it is Eurocomic Thursday, and every Thursday I talk about a European comic or graphic novel. But as it is also Giant Ape-Ril, which is a reading event all about giant apes, like of course King Kong, the Yeti and Bigfoot, but you can also read other monster films, monster novels, fiction and non-fiction as well. I will talk about an American comic for today. Giant Ape-Ril is hosted by Roy over at Roy Reads Anything, co-hosted by Duncan over at Back Away from the Donkey, and me. So I've been collecting big ape films for this reading event, as well as reading all kinds of ape-related fiction and non-fiction and monster, giant monsters as well. And one of them is I watched Konga, that was broadcasted, or you could see that in the cinema in 1961. It is a science fiction horror film, but it's more science fiction than horror. Although Konga attacks people in this film as well. But I didn't find it very terrifying, I must admit. The story is about a scientist whose plane crashes in the jungle in Africa. And he invents in Africa a potion which makes plants and animals grow faster and bigger. So he comes home to America and he brings home a monkey, and he starts to experiment on this monkey, and we all know, of course, what happens after that. Although the pace of the film is a little bit slow, it has a pulpy feel to it. It's basically the subject of the story that is really pulpy. The acting is okay, and the sets are colorful with green and purple interiors for the mad scientist's house interior. But I did find it quite entertaining, but I thought it would have been a better film if the music was a lot better. Now there's well, I don't know how to say it in English, but the music doesn't really add something, let alone enhance the scenes, makes the scenes stronger. Good music doesn't get too much noticed in films and makes that the scenes are stronger, are better, if you get my drift. So that combined with the slow pacing, I find myself bored at times, I must admit. They probably ran out of money before they could hire a good composer and good musicians. I wish they would have done the same thing as they did with the 1933 King Kong film. The producers watched the film without music and decided to pull the plug, and didn't want to spend any more money on it. And I think it was the director, correct me if I'm wrong, that paid for the composer and the musicians from his out of his own pocket. So he paid himself, and it was absolutely worth it. But because he knew that this needed to have music that was similar to music which was used in not cartoons, in animation films, as the Godzilla action scenes were filmed in stop motion, and that was some sort of animation technique. That's you take a picture, you move the statues a bit, take another picture, and like animation, place them in sequence, and you get one filmed scene. I think they made a novelization of Konga when the film came out in 1961. I haven't read that one, but Giant Comics also started to make the Konga comic series. I think it run somewhere in the first half of the 1960s. I don't know exactly. Spider-Man co-creator Steve Ditko did the artwork for some of these comics, and I do notice that the illustrations in the later issues, I read the first issue, become a little bit more dynamic than in this first issue. Like I said, I read the first issue in the Konga comic series, and this is the story from the film. But basically it is the story from the film, but it is made more child-friendly. Like, for example, the mad scientist is happily married. No teenagers are killed. There is also no cheating going on, or no intention to cheat on his wife is going on, and the scientist is only a mad scientist and not a villainous one like in the film. I read the digital version that is free and available on the American Archive. I will put a link to that in the description box below if you want to read it. But like I said in the beginning of this video, the quality of the scans are of poor quality, and I think that's not so much due to the scanning process, but more, well, these comics were published on newspaper paper, so pulpy paper, and I think the state of the comics that were used to scan, they were not that good to begin with. Most of it is readable, but I think 1 or 2 pages is not readable. So if you want to, you can read it. The story is quite understandable even without the parts you can read. But if you want to know the whole story, I can advise you to watch the Konga film from 1961. I also came across another Konga film, Konga TNT. Well, the less said about this film, the better. I found it terrible. I found it absolutely terrible. I like pulpy kind of films, and I don't mind if these films are of poor quality, but I found this just absolutely horrific. The even so horrific that it isn't even funny anymore, not even in a campy pulpy way. The acting is terrible. The jokes are conceived by a puberty brain, and the special effects are not very good. Terrible. They look like some amateur made at home. I needed the audio track the commentary track on the DVD to explain the story to me, because the story there's a couple of incidents just copied and pasted together, and I couldn't watch it for the second time with the audio track, so I listened only 20 minutes or so of the audio commentary track. But director Brett Kelly makes comments, talks about this film with his son, and he tells, this film was made in 2020, and this was the beginning of the COVID pandemic, COVID period. So most of all of the film industry filming lay still. It was shut down because, so Brett Kelly couldn't work, and he thought, why not teach the children how a movie is made? So he filmed parts of it with his children in it, and he used stock footage, and he used footage that he shot for other films but did not use. So that explains a lot why the story is absolutely confusing, and why it's so terrible. And the story, like I said, the story is just a couple of incidents pasted together. Brett Kelly's son talks about a sequel in the audio track. Well, I say, if you had fun making it, why not? But I'm not going to watch it. I see on the Internet Movie Database that director Brett Kelly made about 4 films, and the ratings don't go over the 2-star rating. You can rate from 1 star to 10 stars. So I guess all of his films are of the same quality. Let's put it favorably. But there are people out there that really like his films. When I read the comments on this on his video of on the Internet Movie Database on Konga TNT, so maybe you like it. You can watch Konga TNT free on YouTube. I'll put a link to it in the description box below if you want to watch it, and you can judge for yourself. Maybe you like it more than I do. Anyway, this was a little bit of a different Eurocomic Thursday, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Do let me know what you think of all of the Konga, the 2 Konga films and the Konga comic, if you read it or seen the films, because I am curious about your opinion. As always, thanks for watching.